Do you feel a disturbance in the force? It might be because Mercury Retrograde enters our lives this week on April 21st through May 14th, right as the sun moves out of Aries and into Taurus for 4 weeks. Libra is about to leave their month-long opposition in Aries, and Scorpio is about to enter theirs. Astrologer Extraordinaire Tom McMullan is here to explain the effects of Mercury Retrograde and how it might affect our day-to-day lives over the next few weeks. You can follow me on Instagram at Medium Allison. You can find me on my Facebook fan page, and you can binge on my YouTube videos, including Street Astrology. And you can join my Scottsdale audience on May 6th for live readings. For ticket information, go to AllisonDubois.com. General admission tickets are available. VIP tickets are sold out. If you have a question about the paranormal for me, call me at 802-332-3811 and leave a message about your experience. Tom, welcome back.
Thank you, Allison.
So how are we about to get our wires crossed?
Oh, this happens 4 times a year.
I know. And each time I like to prepare the listeners for such an experience.
Well, that's good. I mean, a lot of people hear Mercury retrograde. It's the next thing after someone knows their sun sign, maybe their moon or rising. That's is still iffy itself. But then people have heard so much more about Mercury retrograde because it's always, what does that mean?
It shakes things up. So they're more mindful of it, yes. I think.
All planets retrograde essentially, except the sun and the moon. But in terms of our perception of how they move around, they seem to go direct, and then they seem to be going backwards when they're really not. It's just how it's perceived. So, Mercury is the closest planet to us, so it obviously seems to impact us 4 times a year. So it's the one that has the most, and it rules essentially communication and movement and technology and computers and mechanics and things like that. So that affects our daily lives.
So is there any way that we can use Mercury retrograde to our benefit?
Well, we have to know what sign it's in, and that's the half the battle right there, to figure out what's the energy of Mercury in the sign, and it's going to be in Taurus. Okay. It's already in Taurus. So Taurus represents our foundations. Okay, so we're going to talk a lot about our foundations. It's an earth sign. It is the earth sign.
Yes.
Okay, and we will be going into the sign of Taurus on the 20th at the end of this week. Mercury goes retrograde the next day. So there's a lot happening at this time. It's a very important retrograde because not only what sign Mercury's in, but where it is in relation to other planets and its attachment or detachment from. So
the poor Tauruses, they get their toe into their birthday month and surprise, it's Mercury retrograde.
Well, better them than us. Okay, so
Fallon would beg to differ.
Exactly. When I talk about Taurus, because that's what we have to talk about, then we'll talk about how Mercury affects it, especially in a retrograde motion. But Taurus is our foundation. I titled this podcast essentially reevaluating our foundations. So the whole thing is about how we evaluate what our values are. Because Taurus rules money, because money is this resource of our foundation in this culture. So what we need in order to create a foundation is money.
Do you say that Taurus is the earth sign because it's the fixed earth sign, and you see the fixed signs as a little bit more grabbing of your attention, or I'm just curious?
I think it weighs you down more, you see. So it's, the other two are Virgo and Capricorn.
Right.
And they're the practical ones. They're the everyday happening and keeping our lives in order, if you will. So the Taurus is the first earth sign. So it represents our relationship to the earth itself.
So a little bigger in some senses.
I think so.
Okay.
Because essentially, when we talk about our values, what we use in this life that we value to create foundations.
It affects the dynamics of our lives.
Yes.
Yeah. Got it.
So, in that understanding, we look at Taurus as a very stubborn, willful, practical, possessive energy. Okay.
Yes.
Because our possessions are part of what we use that are ours, okay? Because the opposite, Scorpio,
right?
Using other people's things versus our own things.
Yes.
So, and my favorite way to say this to moms with kids, you've got a little Taurus child on the sort of in the park, and that little Taurus child is off by itself under a tree, playing with its toys or reading or whatever it's doing all by itself. It's not a sociable nature essentially in its how it reacts to things. So
you know what my Taurus child did on the playground? Fallon used to buy candy or snacks and then sell them at a higher price, like an upsell. And she made a lot of money on the playground.
You just described what she did was to make money.
Yes, I know.
Okay. So
I thought it'd be a good example.
Well, that's ingenious actually for her. So she created more resources for herself.
And she came up with that on her own. We didn't even say anything. She just decided to make some money.
But what I also say to parents about, their Taurus child, if that child's playing with its toys and other children come over and want to play with them, no. They don't share their things.
Yes. Yes.
This is mine. This is why they make great only childs. They can be, they don't care about siblings. They're like, no, this is mine. Stay out of my room. Don't touch my stuff.
They want all the inheritance.
Yes, exactly. That's very funny.
Thank you.
Don't put them in charge of the estate because you'll get nothing.
God, no.
Them, so.
Yeah. Mom's ring mysteriously disappears.
Yeah. But it is a very stubborn sign, but again, a very practical. And, a lot of people, I have people with a lot of air and fire signs consider Tauruses rather boring because they just want the basic needs met. They're not stimulated outside of the basic needs. And so they're always very earth driven by their basic needs. It's like I always said, and how we describe this is food, sex, sleep, repeat. That's kind of the Taurus.
Yes.
So the basic needs are met. The sensual needs are met. They love food. They love to cook.
Eat, sleep, sex, repeat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And they're an artistic sign, but they're an earthy artistic sign. So they're the ones that love to garden.
Fallon does. Yep.
Yes.
Makes sense.
Yes. And so, and their home seems to be very important. They're good at designing homes and things like
They're
that.
kind of old souls too.
Well, it's just
the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Well, the Earth's older than.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Fallon was crocheting at like 8, so.
And there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's doing very practical things.
Very.
That's a Taurus all by itself, crocheting, reading, knitting.
Yes.
Cooking.
Creating music.
Yeah, music.
Yes.
That is their soul. Music is the soul of a Taurus, along with Pisces. They get along for that reason, artistically, and artists and things like that. So, but you'll find it, again, more earthy, sensual nature. They're people that can't buy stuff online. They have to touch it. They have to see it. They have to smell it. They're tactical.
I like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And their home is very that way. They love earthy colors and warm things, blankets, and things that are very encompassing and warm, and fireplaces and things like that.
Cozy. Yeah.
So we're going into Taurus. Okay. So it's good to know we're going into that energy anyway for all of us. And then when we get Mercury goes retrograde, and actually it's funny because it happens right on Earth Day.
Of course.
Of course.
Can I just add, it's interesting because Aries, when it starts each year, I say, it's as if somebody hits a fast forward button and the 4 weeks fly by. There's so much content, so much gets done. It's a fire aspect. It carries everything forward. And then as soon as we hit Taurus, everything comes to a screeching halt.
Yes, the brakes come on.
Yes.
Yeah, and everything starts to slow down.
Yes.
Because Taurus itself is a slow, methodical.
Yeah, they got to take a nap. Yeah,
and they do.
They do.
They do. They love their sleep.
Yes. So I'm sorry. Continue,
well,
Taurus.
I'm laughing because the last 4 weeks have been on fire, and everything went so fast in Aries.
Insane. It always does every year. That 4 weeks, just it's incredibly fiery, and everything moves faster than expected. Everybody's super impatient and aggressive, which moves projects forward.
Well, and then we had Mercury then in Aries.
Right.
And so our movement was faster, our communication was faster. Jupiter was in Aries. So, everything keeps to be growing and spinning faster and faster.
Fire party.
So yeah, you're right. Now it all starts to slow down.
Right.
Now, because the sun goes into Taurus, and Mercury goes into Taurus, then it backs up in retrograde.
So what does that mean to the listeners out there?
Well, it again, when we're talking about retrograde, we're talking about something that doesn't move forward, it moves inward, not out but in. So it's a reflective period in time. So this is why I said this is sort of to reevaluate Taurus.
Does it hold things up? Does it feel like everything
can.
sort of gets suspended?
It can. It also feels like things break down at the same time. And so when we talk about the two signs that it rules, which is Taurus and Virgo, it rules Virgo. Mercury rules Virgo also. So Mercury rules Gemini, excuse me, not Taurus, Gemini, it's just in this sign. But it rules Gemini, which is communication, and then Virgo, which is more like mechanics and technology and the things that we
IT
use.
specialists.
Yeah. So you may see breakdowns, and it becomes exacerbated because this it's going to be conjunct with the planet Uranus, which means sudden change. So things happen suddenly. So that's where you'll get computer crashes.
Got it. Okay.
Mechanics break down.
Right.
Good time to get your car checked out.
Right.
Except
you're probably going to get a big bill for that too.
Possibly.
Money.
Yeah.
Money.
Money. That's another thing. There are values.
Yes.
And you're going to want to spend your money on practical things because you're going to need it. Essentially, you're gonna make sure you're gonna back up on spending at this time, and it's gonna be there till May 15th. It's always around 3 weeks, and it's in retrograde.
Right.
So this is to reevaluate your finances, or it's time to make a budget. It's time to look at your investments.
Homes.
Yeah,
I would imagine as well, your house, and whether or not you can sustain it now.
If you're thinking of wanting to sell your home, this is the time to get it ready. Don't put it on the market yet. Just spruce it up.
That's good information.
Yeah. And if things have broken down, fix them.
Right.
Everything's about practicality.
Don't ignore it.
Yes.
Address it.
But the planet Uranus, which means unexpected revolutionary change,
right?
That's a big part of it. So we're going to hear a lot about money in our communications.
Right.
And I always find it interesting because, we go into that sign of money, and in the spring, this is where the topic seems to be. We get our taxes. It's the first thing.
Nobody looks forward to it but children.
No, but you got to laugh because taxes is the first thing that we start thinking about when we get into this time of year.
And I say children look forward to it because when some people, I don't know who, not me, but get tax returns, they always take their kids on a vacation every year. So I think their kids think it's a good thing. Not sure.
No, well, I pay taxes. I don't get any back.
No, me either.
And I just did it on Friday. So it's like, oh boy. But again, you have to deal with that. You can't go, I wanted to go buy this new computer. I want to go buy a new TV. Not at this time.
I think people are that's good information too. I think people are going to be looking at their money and becoming a little bit more serious about it and seeing where our tax dollars are being spent, or, what matters to us. And in the rank of importance financially in our life, our home, the way we live, our food.
Yeah.
So that it's going to be an interesting carpet ride for sure.
Sustainability is a word for Taurus. It's also cautious. The two most cautious signs, I would say, are Cancer and Taurus. They're both money signs and cautious about it. So you do not see Tauruses running around with Rolex watches.
Right.
And fancy
They'd have
clothes.
Leo in their chart.
They'd have to have Leo in their chart. Yes, absolutely. Their moon's in Leo. Yes. But if they have money, they'll, the thing they'd spend the most on is their home, maybe a car if you're a guy.
Right.
You got to have the nice car. But
do they share their money or do they tend to keep it?
they hold on to it.
They have a tight
They're not good with sharing.
coin purse.
I have friends with Taurus dads, and they couldn't be tighter.
Okay.
And they complain about it all the time. So
and then they die and everybody just takes the money and does what they want.
exactly. But when you have it sitting next to Uranus, which is, again, you're looking at communication, this is how we view things in our life. So Uranus is progression. Okay, revolution and progression.
Right.
So I think during the retrograde, what we really want to do is we want to start coming up with ideas, breakthroughs of ideas of things that we do need to fix in our lives that haven't been working, because it's an introspective energy.
So would an example be with what you just explained with Uranus and what's going on with Taurus? Would it be in Paris where they're marching in the streets because they changed the retirement age for your money? It's about money.
It is about money.
But they're rebelling.
Right. That is what we'll see more of.
So I thought that might be a good example of what people might see.
Yeah. We may see our own Congress that struggles with the debt, ceiling and all the things that are going on. More issues around money will start cropping up.
Yeah, it's more than our Congress is struggling with the money.
Yeah, and then
they need to stop spending.
The other thing about looking at sort of where we spend our money.
Yes.
And, how we spend our money. Is it practical, or are we just throwing it to the winds, or, is it...
What are we getting for it?
Yeah, exactly. What are we getting for it? It's also forward thinking. So, and we're reevaluating our lives. It's like, are we looking into the future? Are we planning for it?
Yes.
It's a good time. And for those, and I speak for myself because I haven't done it, is for a family, plan your estate.
Right.
If you're older and you haven't done it, it's time to, plan your estate or plan your life around your family and take care of those things. Put money aside for your kids for college. That's where you start thinking about the things that you don't want to because you want a new car, you want a new TV,
right.
Now
it's debatable on whether or not you need to save that money for college, but maybe their wedding or to open a new business or something that they want to do in their future.
And that's the reevaluation. Do I hate my job? Do I always want to be an entrepreneur? Do I have an idea?
Sure.
This is when the planning
of
that, you look at that and go, it's since it's introverted and looking into oneself, you have to you got to get out of your head and sort of feel, because you put those two planets together in a chart. Someone is naturally very intuitive.
I have both in my chart.
Well, no, I mean, to it in an aspect to each other.
Okay.
If they're conjunct like they are right now, that's somebody who's going to be very, very smart.
Okay.
But at the same time, it's innovative.
Okay.
And so it's just like, there's new ideas. I never thought of that before. And then processing and planning them. And
that speaks to me. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I've got my Dead University shirt on. Yeah. I love to innovate.
Yeah. So, but you're an Aquarian to begin with.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I've got the Uranus is an Aquarian energy and then Taurus. So I get both of those energies. And Taurus, they don't bore me because I find them interesting to peel the layers back on, to get to know them and see if they actually have a hidden personality under there. Sometimes they do. Mm-hmm. Or if they just really are that Snoresville,
Yeah. Well, I would say also, because I know you have Mercury and Capricorn in your chart, which is another earth sign. So you're very practical.
Yeah.
So you come up with ideas, and we both have very strong Mercuries. So communication is a very big part of our work in this lifetime.
What?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
So we're sitting here in a podcast. Yeah.
Obviously.
So in that regard, you're very practical in your ideas, and creating a school.
Structure. Yes, of course.
This is great. But it's a structure of something progressive.
Right.
Because, it's what we do. We're progressive.
It's the structure of something that's always been applied to something that's always existed but hasn't been put in that form before, which is spirituality in the structure of a classroom.
Yeah.
I don't like the word progressive anymore. It's lost its luster for me. It got thrown around too much.
Well, forward moving.
Progress used to mean that. Now they throw it around for different reasons. I'm like, I don't know. Well, progress, I guess, is debatable on what you see as good. So that lost its luster
everything's
for me.
Perception, Allison.
It's all perception. So yeah.
We're not dragging our knuckles on the ground anymore. So there has been some progress.
There's always going to be progress, but some people don't want progress. That means tearing down mom and pop stores and building parking lots or apartments, and they call it progress. But we don't necessarily want that as a society. So that's all I'm saying. Progress can mean a lot of things. I do see the Aquarian Uranus energy as being very ahead of its time, in a sense, where it's always been there, but now it's being applied, and we're doing something in a practical way with it, education-wise, for something that isn't considered practical, which is spirituality. Sure. And I totally get what you're saying.
Well, and of course, the planet Uranus is also in Taurus, because they're together in Taurus.
Right.
And Uranus rules Aquarius, and Aquarius is another fixed sign.
Right.
So it's how I see things.
Right.
Not how others see it, but how I see it.
Right.
And it's different from everybody else. So then that's like even more of that tenacious, fixed this is how I do things, and don't move my stuff, don't touch my stuff, don't change my mind. Don't get in arguments right now with people, especially if I'd say that to Scorpios, because, you like drama.
Right.
It's the opposite of drama, please.
You aren't kidding. Scorpios are drawn to drama. They will pull it in.
Right. But they want to dig it out of their opposite sign.
Okay.
So that, Scorpio wants to win. Taurus just wants to be left alone.
True. And so you could say to a Scorpio, don't get any elective surgeries in Taurus, or don't make any hasty decisions in Taurus, and they'll still do it.
Yeah.
They'll do it because they're like, well, if it's going to happen anyways, might as well.
Yeah. Well,
I don't get that.
Well, Scorpio is also a stubborn, willful sign because they're both fixed. So,
right.
But, at the same time, I want to pull out the artistic dynamic, being an artistic energy.
Yes.
So there's new forms of art that we'll see.
Oh, that's nice.
And one of the things, since it is music, this may see some new genres of music give birth coming up in the next year or so. And
not AI. I don't want to hear robots sing.
Who knows?
I want to hear real people.
Who knows? But then this is a good time to write music, good time to write.
Okay.
Because Taurus also in Mercury is writing, because that's another dynamic, or art. Art, writing, again, that's kind of like what we're working on. So new forms of art and music and in that degree. The other thing I want to talk about too is it goes to our survival instincts. So our survival is what? What is our survival in our life? Because it isn't money, Right. And money is a resource for the things that we want to be in our life. Mm-hmm. So are your survival instincts running your life? Are you surviving? Are you living? And during a retrograde, it's always great to go in and start asking yourself that question. Am I living my life, or is my life just surviving day to day?
Right. Is your life running you? Yeah.
Right. And why? And how can I change that? And not overnight. It's not something you change overnight. It's something to reevaluate, because you're exhausted, you're tired.
Yeah.
Everyone's running you. And I say this to a lot of women, because women are taking care of everybody but themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So, but are they taking care of themselves?
Right.
So this is the time to say, I need to take better care of me while I'm taking care of others, and to reevaluate, are you letting everybody run your life because you think you have to or you're supposed to? Question yourself in that. It's very important.
It's good. Don't give your power away.
And the other thing that's happening also, as we start with the new sun sign in Taurus and everything else, is the sun at the beginning until the end of the month will be squaring Pluto. So that's...
Speak to me.
Yeah, that's a breakdown, breakup. That is a breakdown, breakup energy. So someone who is born with Pluto in a sun aspect, especially this aspect, it's a hard aspect. It's someone who can be very arrogant, controlling, and dominating.
So how is that already happening now, or it has yet?
It will when the sun goes into Taurus.
So this week when the sun goes into Taurus, that aspect
for the rest of the month.
Yeah. For the rest of the month. Right. So babies born in that aspect would tend to have the personality you're describing.
They're very strong-willed.
Okay.
Extremely strong-willed.
Interesting.
So when we have this other aspect going on with that, so you can see the willfulness, you're not going to change anyone's mind for a while.
Right. So, yeah, I kind of want to go to a hospital and look at the maternity ward and see the babies born in that sign and see who screams the loudest. They're going to be fighting for the milk.
I was just going to say that. They're going to give me that milk.
Yeah. And some Oreos while you're at it.
So, and again, that's a great entrepreneurial energy when you have that, and someone that will maybe go into a business. So, with a strong Taurus energy, and you've got Pluto squaring the sun sign in Taurus, that's someone who's going to make a business out of their life.
So Pluto, okay, explain it to me, because I'm not programmed as astrologically sound as you are. Pluto squaring the sun creates a tension, wouldn't it?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. No. Okay. So
the Taurus sun doesn't want attention.
Okay. Okay. So it goes to the personality of the energy of the sign.
If it were in Leo, that would be a yes.
Okay. Then it's a battle.
That's a strong will too. But the strong will of Pluto, square the sun in Taurus, is that person is just tenacious. You're not going to change their mind.
Okay.
That's the way.
So people will take on that energy in this aspect. We absorb it.
Right. And so because of the opposite sign of Scorpio, you've got to watch your interactions with Scorpio, because they're both very embattled to each other, or they work together. They have to learn to work together. So you have to give the Taurus space. Okay.
Yeah.
The Scorpio wants to invade your space a lot.
Yes.
And because they don't want to be alone. They want to be with somebody. And a Taurus wants to be by itself.
Yes.
So you got to put those two things together. So if you're with somebody that needs a lot of attention and you're a Taurus, it'll drive you nuts.
And I am a moon in Taurus, so that will drive me nuts in that aspect. So Taurus, if they have Netflix and, a steak dinner and a bottle of wine, they're like, go away, I'm good.
Right.
But Scorpio is going to be like, come on, let's go out. Let's go do something. Come on. Let's change. Let's do it together. We'll do it together.
Yeah.
I get it.
My in-laws are coming over. Get dressed. We're going to have dinner. I'm like, oh my God, no. That's a no.
You're like, you didn't consult me about this. So Scorpios need to be mindful of that. And I'm not not trying to jab Scorpios, because Taurus, Aquarius, Scorpio, and Leo are all fixed signs in the zodiac. I'm two of them, so I have no one to talk. But with Scorpio, I do find that when I say to somebody and I draw a border and boundary and I'm like, stop, they'll listen, but not with Scorpios so much. They don't listen always to your borders and boundaries. And I've met very few soft Scorpios who must have a chart that's just a little softer. They're usually very much an individual.
Well, they're intense.
Yes, they are intense.
They're intense.
Right.
You don't go to a party with a Scorpio and sit there and go from person to person with cocktail party conversation. You're going to sit there for 2 hours with them while they talk your ear off and ask you 1,000 questions because they want to know everything. They're researchers. I want to know everything about you. Tell me.
They're interrogating you.
They're interrogating you, yes. They won't tell you anything about themselves, but they'll interrogate the hell out of you.
And the Scorpio girlfriend that I had, there was always Cleve hanging out too. She was always the sexy one walking into the room, making sure everybody paid attention. So yeah, the men and the women are a little different that way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Men are different naturally, Allison.
Well, I mean, sorry, I competed against boys growing up in sports, in skating. They just let us compete against each other. So, okay.
Well,
so,
it's interesting because I'm going to use the word flexibility on this because I have a lot of fixed energy in my chart too, and mostly fire and air, but I have my earth sign creates a fixity for me, and that's because I have been a survivalist in my life. So that's why. But I've learned actually to start saying yes to things. I just don't say, no, I don't want to do that.
Okay.
And so, you might, those who are the fixed signs, those are very strong Taurus, your lesson is to be a little more flexible.
Yeah, I'm working on that.
Yeah. So, you might ask yourself, I'm going to only do what I want to do. This is only my opinion. So in that retrograde period for 3 weeks, ask yourself, am I losing out on things? Is it just because I'm being stubborn? Why won't I try new things? Because this is an energy of time to try new things.
Okay.
So don't if you're going to make dinners, if you're a cook, try new recipes. That's the whole point of it being next to Uranus.
Not
Mercury
Taurus
Uranus.
Comfort food. We got to do something different now.
Well, you can add a couple of new ingredients.
Couple of new ingredients.
See, you're already.
You're right. It's all me. I'm sorry.
So Allison's a great example to everyone out there. Is that she's like the one you're going to have to work with in this regard.
I still make the recipes from my grandmother and the one recipe of my mom's that I like. So
tradition.
I love tradition.
Yeah, tradition.
So in Taurus, we're going to see a lot of traditional values and people wanting to keep it simple, family dinners at the table and cooking instead of going out, and maybe see more of that and deciding to save money and all that's good stuff.
It sounds boring to those who aren't this way.
I know.
But it is a section of life.
I try and imagine what it'd be like to not have Taurus in my chart, and I can't because I really like those things.
Yeah.
So, but I guess Scorpios really like being sensual and networking.
Yeah.
They're huge networkers.
Well, Scorpio, Taurus are the money signs.
Okay.
Cancer's only money because it's about security and safety, and that's what you need in order to create security and safety. Tauruses and Scorpios love money.
Yes.
I have a friend who has a ton of Taurus, and he just loves to make money.
Some love other people's money, though, and don't want to make their own, too. You have to look at the whole vision of the person and the energy. It's kind of fun.
But it's funny. The person I know that loves to make money makes a lot of money.
Yeah.
But that person isn't like fancy. He's not like has fancy things, whatever. He just likes the comfort of it.
Right.
So, what he purchases are comfort things.
That makes sense.
And very practical with a lot of money. But it's like, it seems to be never enough. It's like, oh, I can make some more money if I do this.
Right, right. Yeah, well, hopefully he's got a Leo daughter that can spend that coin later. I'm just kidding.
And, yeah, probably.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe he does. So.
Wishes do come true. That's funny. Yeah. So what else do we have in Mercury retrograde? There are computer glitches. It's foot and mouth disease. You open your mouth, you mean to say one thing, it comes out all wrong, and it can completely screw you, for lack of a better term. Where you open your mouth to say, I love you, and it comes out, I love you, we should take a break. Something like that.
Well, there's a break.
It's like, wait, I didn't mean to say that.
Yeah.
So you do see things. You have to think before you open your mouth, I find, in Mercury retrograde.
Always, because it is more introspective, and you just don't react, respond.
Right.
And that's
and
really,
don't absorb.
Yeah. But
don't absorb other people's energy.
That's the advice, is to not react, but to respond.
Right.
Taurus is a slow energy, so it's having you slow down your reaction time.
Aries is going to feel so impatient in that sign.
Yeah. But, in that vein, it's like, this is where you say, okay, just step back a minute. A Taurus is somebody who's not quick to come back on the comeback. So when they tend to leave when they're not sure what to say. And I would say, if you're going through this yourself, learn to leave when you don't know what to say.
I find it's important instinctually. I always get a timing. Something inside of me clicks and says, it's time to go. And I'll look at Joe and go, it's time to go. And we just go.
Yeah, but you're psychic. That's not
fair. I kind of think everybody's got a little intuition. I don't know. I like to think that. But yeah, okay, so that's not fair. But you're right. Yeah. You got to know when it's time to go and when you've hit your limit. I enjoy Taurus. I think a lot of people are going to be nesting, spending time at Home Depot, going to Ace Hardware, wanting to do home projects.
Because they just broke down,
Right. Yeah. So, it can be fun for people who like doing home improvement projects and that sort of thing.
Yeah, or want a garden or
go to a concert, because Taurus rules music. So, maybe music comes into play in that aspect.
I don't think concerts during retrogrades are great because it's a crowd.
Yeah, my event is in the retrograde.
Well, that's not a big concert.
I know it's not like sizable like Lady Gaga or anything, but I still have to pull impressions off people, and it's hard enough to talk to the dead. I'm just saying. Yeah. So,
well, you got a room full of people.
With Mercury retrograde, it can just a little more challenging.
Yeah,
that's all.
That's all.
Yeah, in Taurus.
Yeah, in Taurus.
Let's see you do it. It's not easy. Oh my gosh. Okay, but I think I did pick a soft moon.
Okay.
For the event.
Okay.
So hopefully we'll kumbaya and have a drink after, you and I.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So we have a month of that. Some roughly around Mother's Day, it goes direct. Mercury goes direct
on the 15th. Yeah.
So then communication's not screwed up.
No.
Then it goes forward more. And I know that it's only seemingly moving backward, but I swear whenever Mercury's retrograde, I feel like I'm in the Matrix, and it's like this slow motion fall that you're going, and it feels like it takes a long time.
Well, this will seem slower because it's Taurus.
So the next 4 weeks should be particularly long, I would think.
Okay.
Yeah. That's how
Just get a lot done.
It.
Take advantage of the slow time to get things done.
Well, yes. Maybe try and enjoy yourself a little and not make it all about work, because work projects may not go forward. Contracts, I know you'd sign a contract in Mercury retrograde. I try and avoid it.
That's
because I know that it may just slow it down, or there's something wrong in it that then has to be fixed and resubmitted.
That's how it works.
That sort of thing. For me, I just don't want to deal with other issues. I don't have the energy for it. So I just pause in Mercury retrograde. It's how I defend myself through it. And it works. So cars breaking as well.
Mechanics.
Anything mechanical.
Yeah.
Okay. So, That doesn't sound so bad the way you say it. So that's good. So as long as we're not applying it on a global scale and things breaking down, maybe we'll just squeak through on this one.
Let's hope. Yeah.
Let's hope. So is there anything else in that area
Pretty much covers it.
All right. Well, I think this is so important, not just for the Mercury retrograde, for people to understand what that actually is and why, but in the sign that it's in Taurus, with the sun in Taurus, for them to understand that. I'm not looking forward to the full moon in Scorpio, though I know Scorpios will be, because that's their 2.5 day reprieve. They get to come up for air in their 4-week opposition, and God love them, and I would want that too. I find it very intense, and I'm just watching witch movies and having midnight margaritas, because that's how you weather a full moon in Scorpio.
That's how you do it.
Well, thank you. Where can my listeners find you for the new people that are tuning in?
Well, my website is tommcmullan.com. And I'm astrologist _Tom on Instagram and Facebook. So yeah, these are all places to find me.
Well, and hopefully by the time you come on the next time, we've got some exciting news to share with the listeners. So fingers crossed on that, because we're going to find something out this week. So
yes, we are.
Yeah, I know. And it's going to be the end of a sun and moon in Aries. So maybe that's good.
The brakes come on.
Yes. Oh, in Sun and Moon and Aries?
No.
After that.
Yeah, after
okay,
that,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, that'd be okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you to my listeners for tuning in. Thank you to Tom McMullan for gracing us with his presence.
My pleasure.
And tune in next Tuesday for a new episode of The Dead Life, where you will be hearing from Lynn Principe, who is a death doula, and she will be talking to us about the soul leaving the body and people and how to die with grace. So I'm Allison Dubois, and this is The Dead Life. To all of my believers out there, don't stop believing.